Thank you very much for your introduction, Program Director, Mr. Bonnie. Also, the hard work that you have been doing in the past 2 days. I think the President was quite passionate about the issues that you have been dealing with. Thank you very much to the outgoing President, Shakir, or I'm trying to pronounce it right. On the pronunciations, and just on that note of whether I am Miss or Mrs. or the other. My colleagues in the NSA, I have my director here, Dr. Thabo, who's sitting with us there in our table. He likes me to walk in front. So he always accompanies me and he's walking at the back. And I said to him, there is a cultural difference here. Where I grew up, men walk in front. And there is a science to it. Any danger that comes, the man must protect. So when he is plunging me to the front, then I am without protection. So there is a cultural issue there. So Dr. T, Ms. Nare is allowing you to walk in front to protect me from the evil spirits. It's a cultural thing. To the beautiful ladies, I saw the Duke. Just before I speak, my mother was married for 44 years. And I want to tell a story about the Duke. And I also want to relate it to myself. When I was faced with the revolution of the Duke, it hit me very hard. When you are married as a fresh, we call it makoti, there is an insistence, a strong insistence on wearing the Duke. And therefore, my mother's mother-in-law, my granny, will come to the house, and if my mother is not wearing the Duke, she will sit outside the house and she will say, I'm not getting into that house. That woman who is not respectful is not wearing what she needs to wear. I'm going to sit here until my son comes back. So to me, that's the history of the Duke. But now it's back. It's a revolution. So I've been trying to reintroduce myself to the Duke and see how it would look on me without the title of my culture. And I think, ladies, you look beautiful. Program Director, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity of presiding. Forgot something, sir. You have reminded me to get on with the job. As the age goes by, I can promise you what I'm wearing on my face only can see the words. All of a sudden, the room has become a little bit blurred, courtesy of my friend Konji, who has borrowed me the spectacles so that I can read. Program Director, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity of presiding over this auspicious ceremony. I want to acknowledge the presence of all guests, the President, outgoing President, and the newly appointed President of SASKE, the Africa WIL leadership, counterparts from the African countries and beyond, SASKE board, leaders of government, the host university, and all other institutions of learning. The NSA, which is in partnership, full partnership with SASKE, HRDC, NEDLEC, which has groomed me for many years, DHET, leaders from the provinces, the principals and leaders of organized business, who I usually have a very conflictual role with, but I love them too much. I love the profits from organized business. Organized labor, for all the work that you do, that is so thankless. Community, the ones who bear the brunt of societies and all the retrenched and all the ones who have lost their businesses, they always sometime go back to the community. Providers of training and education, you know the relationship with the minister, private providers, the international organizations such as ILO, EU, UNESCO, GICA, SADC, AU, and etc. And everyone that I have not mentioned, you rest assured, you are all part of the protocol that I've just said. And nominees for the awards, members of the media, we all have a relationship with the media. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But the media helps us. It helps the society to self-criticize and to look at itself and reflect on itself. Delegates and all protocol observed. The NDP 2030 indicates that the different parts of the education system should work together, allowing learners to take different pathways that offer high-quality learning opportunities. It further emphasizes that there should be clear linkages. There should be clear linkages between schools, FET colleges, universities of technology, universities, and other providers of education and training. At some point, I thought my speech had numbers, so I wanted to make sure that I will be able to read the numbers in words. There should also be clear linkages between education and training and the world of work. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, my interest and focus is linked mainly to the last sentence of this quotation from the NDP. There should also be clear linkages between education and training and the world of work. I think the president, the outgoing president, spoke quite passionately about that. It is my fair assumption that we who gathered here agree that workplace experience is highly relevant and necessary for the growth of the learner. It is on this basis that the NSA has once again deemed it fit to collaborate with SASCE and WIL Africa in making this conference a reality. The NSA continue to promote recognition of companies for opening up their workplaces for WIL purposes. And I can say proudly about the NSA that we have established an ad hoc committee just to look specifically on WIL. Because what we wanted to, we were also listening to the industry and the whole situation and issue that the industry is saying, that let us be part of the curriculum. And we have said that as the NSA, we are going to help in our ad hoc committee and see what are the low-hanging fruits in terms of this, and also how do we bring the industry a bigger buy-in and in much more stronger force, because we do need the industry captains to assist. I'm not sure about the inequalities and the fees must fall rallies. And therefore, I will just stick to say that the industry is very important to allow the economy of this country to be more inclusive. We remain a country with high inequalities. Given high shortage of such opportunities, the NSA has also impressed upon all stakeholders in skills development to catalyze uptake in every workplace. This intervention seeks to support the minister. And President, I've heard what you have asked me to do or to say to the President, and I'm taking that up with the President. Slogan of turning every workplace into a training space. Just on the minister, what I like with him, he's quite open-minded, he's quite developmental, very temperamental, all the drama, but he listens. The slogan illuminates the medium-term strategic outcome 5, mandating the DHET to build a skilled and capable workforce that shares in and contributes to the benefits of opportunities of economic expansion and for an inclusive growth path. Many times as the community, as labor, as the SMMEs, we always ask the question, yes, we hear the economic growth, but how inclusive is the growth itself? The NSA is determined to advocate for the plight of graduates in need of the work placement component of their qualification, as well as for progressive intervention for the course of training and development of the undertrodden. And to this effect, President, I also want outgoing President to assure you that the NSA is actually looking at the whole 1,500 that is given to graduates, that the NSF must work at a different model so that it can help better the industries to assist with the graduates. No one can live or can do anything with 1,300. I've tried it. If you are under SASA, you get 250 for a child. And you can imagine how many babies are fed by 250 rands. It's only a day, but for many in our communities, the 250 is spread among 6 or 7 members. And the teachers in townships always have to fight with the children to go back and fight with their parents that tell your parent, we need the 250 for you as a child. Mobility within the education system should be supported through clear standards and procedures. Students should be able to move between colleges and universities, between different universities, between schools and post-school institutions, and between education provision and the world of work. To do this, they need information on what different institutions offer. I'm a student. I have been educated full-time on Bantu education. And from Bantu education, I moved to what the so-called Black University. And therefore, I understand when the University of Johannesburg is saying that it's a little bit ambiguous whether to join the rally on Freemasfall or not. Because for many of the students who walk to university, it's a completely different story on the different offer that is on the table now. And I can imagine the kind of negotiations and what is facing the student leaders as we speak, because we are living in a country with deep inequalities. The connection between economic and social measures needs to be further strengthened. In addition to their important social goals, basic and secondary school education play a critical role in long-run equality, access to employment, and competitiveness. And President, I was so impressed when you raised, in fact, I grew up in a township, and it was never clear to me how everything is integrated and whether I would ever go to the world of work. I remember when my father had to decide what we are going to do as girls, and I must say he was a strong gender activist. He was a father, but he was such a feminist. So he would look at us, and unfortunately for the first 2 girls, he said to us, now it is time for you to go to university. And whilst I'm talking, I also have to focus so that I don't get lost. He generally said to us, I have money And the money I have is for the two of you girls who are 4 years apart. And what I have, I don't have enough, so I have to spread it amongst the two of you. And now I want you to choose. And for you, Lulam, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be a teacher. And then he explained to me what it meant. So I went to teaching the first year. I must tell you, yeah, it was a bit happy because there's 101 economics. There's this 101, this 101, that. And then I had to do the practicals. The practicals for teaching. And my teacher was a verkramde person. And by verkramde, I mean a supremacist, a white supremacist, who was there as a favor to us. And she always reminded us. So what we had to do was to wear certain t-shirts so that we could impress her, so that she won't tell us how downtrodden we are. So I started practicing writing on the board as a young person. And I said to myself, what a choice. This is not my choice. But it was a choice, as he explained. He said to me, this is for job security purposes. And you know that there are 4 other children behind you. We are 6. So when you finish, you are guaranteed in this apartheid era to get a job as a teacher. My eldest sister was told to do nursing because it also had job security. And it was going to help my dad, who was a kind of in and out of employment, kind of a laborer, for him to sustain the family. So it became to him a sustenance of the family. The job security was making sure that the next children were our responsibility to take to university. And we did it. We don't feel abused. It was a sense of pride. And now it is called black tax. So, President, when you talked about the linkages and the world of work, I wanted to share with you that for many of us, because of the divide, an unexplained divide, we never knew the world of work, and the way we were trained, we were now expected, when the new ideas came, all of the people that were trained in a different way were expected to change miraculously and do the new thing and get on with the job. All of a sudden, the ones who carry the bulk are called lazy teachers. This is the things that we have to look at them and know it's part of the inequalities that were entrenched. And so, by the way, let me get out of this one and say many people, and maybe try and appease the people who are saying, get over it. So does investment in health, including effective measures to address HIV and AIDS. Government has prioritized health and education investment and delivery. While the detailed measures are not spelled out in the new growth path, these services are critical success factors for this employment-rich strategy. LGBT 2010 Skills Summit noted that human beings are at the center of all development activities. And I think in many ways, I watched, I don't know whether you watched the TV, there is an advert on Honda, how Honda is using robots That advert is all about the robot putting in this part, putting in the lights, putting in that and that and that. And I asked myself, how many jobs have been lost simply by replacing this difficult but technical parts that were probably at some point done by 10 laborers, but now it's done by a robot. And that advert is so quick, it lasts for 3 seconds, just to show you the parts as they get fitted on the order. Therefore, interventions, so the importance of humans in development activities is very critical. And that human resources are an essential means of achieving economic, social, and development goals. And I want to say to the industry, thank you very much for your contribution, because without the industries, labor cannot survive. Without the industries, many of us would have never been who we are and who we have become. Therefore, interventions in human resource development represent an essential contribution to promoting the country's development agenda, of which work-integrated learning forms an important component. In his foreword in the NSDS3, the Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. B. Nzimande, emphasized that central to the objectives of the NSDS3 is improved placement of both students and graduates, especially from the FET, now TVET colleges. Another story there, a sad story, I think that with apartheid Bantu education, what has always happened, I never knew about TVET. I always thought that I will only go to TVET when I'm done with my grade 12. But the different stratas of the education sector, you could see other learners actually starting TVET at grade 9 and getting out of grade 12 with a skill and starting their own businesses. And I think for me, these are the realities of the inequalities that we always have to keep at the forefront whenever we talk about work-integrated learning and the opportunities. And universities of technology, I'm certain that similar calls are by our counterparts in Africa and elsewhere. And I know this quote, that we are not free until Africa is free. We are part of Africa. And in many times, we were not aware that we were part of Africa. But somebody, Mandela, reminded us, I don't know whether it was him or not, but you can excuse me. Mandela has also helped us, even in this round, for us to bring about changes. So Mandela is a catalyst for many things. So excuse me if I misquote him tonight. That we are not free until Africa is free. And I think the President spoke passionately about the South-South partnerships that we have and the international partnerships that we have. And as NSA, we are saying to you, well done, because we cannot be free until Africa is free. I'm certain that similar calls are by our counterparts in Africa in every way. And I'm hoping that our African counterparts also know that as they are free, they also have to share their experiences with South Africa and help South Africa get back to its feet once again and lead the continent. This conference should endeavor to consistently make a call that all stakeholders should work together through partnerships to ensure increased access to training and skills development opportunities. This conference is a good start to encourage networking and interaction between agencies, partners at the macro and micro level. I promise you, this is but one page. Levels of education, especially on promoting work-integrated learning. Work-integrated learning could thus be described as an educational approach that aligns academic and workplace practices for the mutual benefit of students and workplaces. President, I hear the impassioned plea of the President on the academics, and I want to encourage academics actually, that there is space for the academics to be themselves even more. That now that we're going back to who we are as activists in this country, that there's always a space for critical thinkers, the intelligentsia of our nation. And I think they should, as the President has called upon them, change and be the catalysts of change. Program Director, I'm informed that the objectives of the awards is to celebrate and to encourage partnerships that promote the culture of WIL across sectors. Companies and universities, colleges, business organizations, government, public enterprises, unions, and many other various categories. Colleagues and compatriots, I love that word. I want to call upon all of us to provide extensive national and international coverage, exposure for good skills development practices, particularly on WIL, through print and electronic media. And I think the President, the newly appointed President, you have critical work to take this organization forward. And I think that we are also putting our own agenda just to make sure that you are on print media and electronic media in order to mobilize business, government, community to provide us to take full ownership of human resource development initiatives. Various organizations such as CETAs, national departments, provincial departments, state-owned enterprises, municipalities, companies, large and small SMEs, CBOs, and NGOs, service providers are encouraged to participate in these kinds of awards, as this will send a strong message that we care. I hope this second WIL Africa event will be a learning curve, improve on the next awards, but also for everyone that the President has called upon to be emboldened and be part of the next awards. That means, President, to the new President, there will be new recipients of the awards. The competition is going to be very high. That means if all of them got 80%, we will be forced to now raise the bar in terms of who gets the awards. Let me conclude my speech by thanking Saskia and all the organizations that saw fit to invest in this good cause of recognizing the efforts of individuals and organizations that collaborated and partnered to drive WIL agenda. For our country to achieve high levels of economic growth and address our social challenges of poverty and inequality, in fact, the whole of Africa, we must work together to invest in education. Education was not designed in 20 years. We inherited different stratas of what was there before. And therefore, it is not going to take 22 years to change the country. It is going to take all of us inside this room to make the contribution towards changing the education in the country and training and skills development to achieve our vision of a skilled and capable workforce to support an inclusive growth path. And to everyone in this room who never knew what you are doing, I am the beneficiary. I think I'm joining the program director. I am the beneficiary with my family of your kindness and your mercies. Most importantly, dipping deeper into your pockets. Industry. Without you dipping much deeper, I'm fundraising now. Going much deeper. You don't know that you change the lives of many other people that are not visible to you. That is your contribution. We become visible when you dip in a little more deeper and you forget about what you see and know that when you are supporting one person, that person is changing 8 people around, 8 lives around her circumstances or his circumstances. And therefore it is important to the industry in this country, see yourself as part of and parcel of this country, because if you manage to change a working class child like me, I'm visible today. Somebody was contributing to my education and it was an industry person. The same person was a businessman who traveled to London and asked the domestic worker that was working in his house, "Where is your husband working? Can he come to this gate? Because I know you have 6 children. I am leaving this country. I'm going to London." And that was a Cadbury CEO at that point. And it changed our lives. So for the industry, you might think that you are putting your money in the sea and it's going and it's going. I'm telling you that as much as you don't see, there is a seed that you have made visible. So be part of it, be part of this movement. And if we need to change several things, insist that this is how we also want to be partners. Finally, I wish all the delegates a wonderful evening. I had a wonderful evening when I got into this room. Beautiful ambience. I also wish all of our nominees the best, and thank you very much.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.